Okay. All right. Well, so we are really glad that all of you are here today. Thank you for joining us. My name is Travis Deans. I work with a ministry called Teens for Christ. We help students to start campus ministries in their high schools, and I also work with something called National Network of Youth Ministries, and we help youth pastors connect with each other, such as we're doing today. So I have a question for you, or I have several questions I want to ask you, and so I'm going to share something on my screen here with all of you as we. Um, I have a specific thing that I want to share with all of you, and then I want to ask for your feedback and your thoughts and your questions, and so bear with me while I share a little bit, and um, then we'll get your thoughts and so forth, and I don't have the correct screen up. Hold on one second. Okay, there it is. All right. Okay, so several questions. Do any of you have students that are spiritually gifted with leadership? Um, you may not. I suspect most of you do. Um, and if you do, you undoubtedly want to find ways to help them use that spiritual gift, right? And many of us are able to find ways for them to use their spiritual gifts in our student ministries or in our churches. Um, but what if they could use those spiritual gifts of leadership to launch ministries of their own? Just a thought. Second question is, do you have students who really need to be spiritually challenged? And I mean, you all know what it's like when people get comfortable, or maybe they even get complacent in their faith, and they just need someone to light a fire under them, right? They've heard so much, they've taken in so much that they need something to challenge them to give back, something to do that would require some faith and obedience, and something that would help them take their faith and their walk with Christ to another level. Um, so think about your students. Do you have any students like that you just, in order for them to keep going in their walk with Christ and become all that God wants them to be, they really need challenged right now. Um, another question is, do you have students that you want to encourage them to share their faith, but maybe they're scared to death to do so, or maybe they are, um, maybe it's just, they feel like they don't know the answers to enough questions, or whatever the reason. There's all kind of reasons, but man, it would be so good for them if they were sharing their faith with their friends, even letting their friends know that they have a faith, right? Even that would be something. So think about that. Do you have students like that? Do you want to see your church have a greater impact on your community? I think all of us would say yes to that question. And there's so many good ways that our churches can have an impact on our communities. But if that's something that's on your heart, if you're thinking, wow, our church, man, there's got to be more. There's got to be something more that we can do to impact the community around us. And then finally, last question there is, do you want to have a better relationship with the school near you? Um, and if you would answer yes to any of those questions, then I think you'll find this time together today very helpful. um, I don't want to ask you to do something that I don't want to give you something more to do than what you're already doing. Most of us are super busy, and we have more to do than we can possibly do. And so this is not about, here's something else that you should be doing. What we, what we want to do today is share a concept and a tool with you that will help you accomplish something that's already on your radar, something that you are already wanting to do. And most of us, we want our kids, our students to follow Jesus. We want to teach them how to use their spiritual gifts to serve Jesus, and we want to teach them how to reach others that need Him in their lives. And so we're going to talk about a tool to help you accomplish those goals that I think that you already have. I mean, just the fact that you're on this call today tells me you have some interest in making a greater impact. And so we want to help you do something that you are already wanting to do, right? Um, Back in the fall, I was speaking at youth groups, teaching them how to share their faith using a little card. It's called Alive in Five, and it's just a great little tool that helps students, explain the gospel message. Um, which, by the way, if any of you, if that would fit on a Wednesday night for you, I'd be glad to come and do that for you. But when I was doing that, I would ask the students, how many of you have friends who are depressed right now, or lonely, or anxious, or fearful, or even angry? And without fail, almost every hand would go up. There are so many students out there that our students know who are really struggling. And so in one sense, the this whole time of COVID, the pandemic, the all of it, it has created a situation that I believe we're going to see incredible ministry happen as we're coming out of this, because people are just hungry for something, right? I mean, everything's been taken away. There's uh, you know, uh, kids have been in and out of school. Sports have been on and off. You haven't. None of us have been to a concert for about a year, right? There's so many things have been uh, disrupted, right? And I think people are hungry to, let's do something. Let's get together. Let's have. Uh, I need to be with people, right? So I think we're going to find, especially as we head into the spring and summer, as the weather warms up, and the vaccines are getting out there. I think we're going to find an incredible time of ministry awaits us. And so, in view of that, I want to just share with you this tool, because this concept, because our hope is that not only is there going to be an incredible time of ministry within your student ministry, but we hope that your students are going to be able to do incredible ministry. That you will have a tool in your toolbox that helps your students really make a difference in their schools. Now, we've all learned not to make hard and fast plans, right? We've all learned over the past year um, to be uh, to hold our plans loosely, right? And so, so as we talk through this, we realize, we don't know exactly what's going to happen in the months to come, or the next school year, but going to talk with you today as if next school year is going to be somewhat of a normal school year. We hope it will be. We for our kids' sake, that they this, I don't know if you guys have found this, but everywhere I hear, this has been hard on kids. Have you guys been hearing that?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So so hopefully we're coming into what will be a little bit more of a normal school year. So if you answered yes to any of the questions, we have a tool for you. And that tool, we call it outreach clubs. And the idea is that it's something that gives your students some practical ministry experience, and that also gives some visibility to your student ministry within the schools that your kids go to, and then adds value to you as a youth pastor. Um, I don't know how many of you get the sense, but some people get the value of youth ministry. Some people realize this is crucially important, and I hope that you do. I hope that you're not discouraged that some people just don't get it, right? Some people don't get what a crucial thing it is that there are people out there discipling and reaching teenagers. I hope that you get that. I hope that you are affirmed that way. But we think that this is a tool that will help people realize, wow, what our student ministry is doing is so important. It really, if they don't get it already, which I hope they do, but if they don't, hopefully this helps people see that there's even more value to what you do as a youth pastor than they realize. So in Luke chapter 10 and Matthew chapter 10, uh, both chapters tell us about this time when Jesus sends out his disciples to do ministry. Um, Jesus has been going around doing miracles. He's been teaching. You know, people are following him. This is, you know, somewhere in the middle of his ministry, and he's got these followers. Some of them are just kind of the big crowds that come around. A few of them are his disciples that are with him day in and day out, right? And then there's another core that's kind of with him. Luke chapter 10 says there's 72 disciples who follow Jesus pretty closely. And so in both of these chapters, Jesus sends his disciples out to do ministry, and he tells them to heal the sick and to teach and to you know, feed people and to all these things that he himself has been doing. And so Jesus is setting them out there to experience and to do ministry. And so my question uh, do you have a way that you are sending your students out to do ministry? And there's a number of ways you can do that, of course. You know, short-term mission trips in the summers are great for that. They really help kids put feet to their faith. Excuse me. You know, short-term trips help kids. It helps make their faith practical. Sorry. Service projects are a great way to do that. Service projects give us an opportunity to help our kids do ministry. But think about this: in a normal school year, your students will spend 5 days a week, 7 or 8 hours a day, 180 days a year in their schools. Now, if they play any kind of sport, or they're in the musical or something like, or the band or something, then they're spending even more time at school, right? They are spending crazy amounts of time, more than half their life in school. And so wouldn't it make sense for our student ministries to have some way for them to impact their life at school, right? If our students' faith doesn't impact the way they are at school, then we are missing a huge portion of their lives, right? And I mean, we all know, I'm sure every one of us agree, we don't want our students to just be Christians on Wednesday nights, right? Far from it. We want our students, that what we do on Wednesday nights, to transform every day and moment and hour of their lives. And not only are they spending that much time in school, but when they're there, they're surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of people who desperately need to hear the gospel message. And you know, you've all heard the thing that you know, the vast majority of people who come to know Christ do so before the age of 18, right? And so our ministries need to have, we have an opportunity here. We have an opportunity to help our students reach people that desperately need to hear the gospel message. And the good news is that opportunity is already paid for. You don't have to raise money for it. You don't have to arrange transportation. You don't have to provide food. It's just, they're there every day, right? The taxpayers of Pennsylvania make it possible for your students to have a 5-day-a-week mission trip. That's pretty incredible when you think about it. So are we equipping them for that ministry? So I want you to imagine something, and we're coming near the end of this little presentation here, but I just want you to imagine a group of students, hopefully led by your students, but a group of students in a local middle school or high school who they love God, they love each other, and they want badly to show God's love to their fellow students. Imagine that. Imagine what that would be like at a high school, at a middle school. You know, would that make a difference if there was such a group of students in your local school? And what if you were the one casting that vision to your students and helping coach them to launch such a ministry in their schools? And then I want you to imagine one more thing. Imagine a group of youth pastors like ourselves who were committed to doing this in schools all over the Pittsburgh region. Now, again, I don't want you to, you know, we don't want to add something else to your plate, but what we do want to do is give you a tool that helps you accomplish something that you already want to do, which is to disciple your students, to help them follow Jesus and to serve him, to share his love and life with others, right? So just real quickly, how does it work? Is it complicated? Is there a lot of, actually, it's ridiculously easy. It's crazy easy, and you don't have to be in charge of it. What we're talking about here is equipping your students and then setting them free to do something for God in their environment, in the world that they live in. You know, the logo for our outreach clubs, it's kind of this circular thing here, which is just, we kind of think of that as, students reaching the world that they live in on a regular basis. So it's not complicated at all. It's ridiculously easy. All it is students getting permission to meet weekly with a teacher sponsor, and this is actually legal. There's a law that allows them to do this. And each week there's a theme. Each week there's a focus to each week that they meet. The first week is a focus on prayer, praying for their schools, praying for their friends that need Jesus, maybe praying for them by name. A time of worship, a time of hearing from God's word, just a focus on God, a focus on loving God and inviting God to be at work in their school. So it starts off with prayer. The second week is care. We encourage students to just find practical ways to, number one, care about each other. And I don't know about all of you, but I had some moments in high school that were kind of rough. High school and middle school, kids aren't necessarily kind to each other all the time, right? And so we want to encourage you to say, listen, before you say one word to anybody about Jesus, show people that you care about them. And that second week is just kind of focused on encouraging each other, praying for each other, and then coming up with ways. Hey, let's write some encouraging notes or cards to people. I know, like at the high school where Bo is the club, she works with the club there. They did this bulletin board that had the kids posted encouraging messages, and people could grab an encouraging message off that bulletin board and take it with them if they wanted. But we encourage them, find ways to care about each other and the students in your school. And then the third week we call share, which is it's just a focus on, let's find a way to share the gospel with students in our school. And that could look so many different ways. Over the years, we've had students do, a spaghetti dinner for the football team, or a pizza party for the basketball team, providing lunch or supper for the cast and crew of the musical. There's a million creative ways that students can do something to, reach out to their fellow students and use that as an opportunity to share the gospel. Again, Bo's Club at Norman High School has done a million things like that. I remember one year they made cookies for the band. The band was going on a trip somewhere, and Bo, how many dozen cookies did you make? Like 100 dozen cookies?
Yeah, that one is as many as when we do the senior class. When we do the senior class, it's like an amazing amount of cookies that we bake. It's crazy.
Bo uses her baking talents to help the kids make all these cookies, and they give them out with the Gospel of John or a scripture or something. But it's a simple way to share the gospel. And then the fourth week of the month, we encourage students, use that week to prepare for the next month. Line up who's going to do what and how it's going to work. Get ready for the next month. there's a lot of months where they can only do 3 meetings in a month anyway. November is usually that way. Sometimes September, December is usually that way. So a lot of times it's, if they get the 3 weeks in, that's pretty normal. And then whenever they do have a 4th week, we encourage them, well, make plans, get ready for the next week. So it's super easy for students to do. And this prayer, care, and share, I didn't come up with that. There's a nationwide, well, for lack of a better word, coalition, alliance of ministries that are using those 3 words as kind of a call to students. The idea is we want to see students in every high school in America praying for, caring for, and sharing Christ with their friends. So I'm just, we just took kind of those 3 words and we're applying it to this idea of outreach clubs. But again, it's so simple. It's not a curriculum. We wanted to just give students an outline. Here's a skeleton. You flesh it out. With your youth pastor or a group of youth pastors in your community. We encourage you to work with other churches that are around you. But here are 3 things you can do in your school that can make a huge difference. And here's just an organized way to do that so that you remember what you're doing. Every school activity that there is, whether it's the football team or the band or the musical, there's somebody who's directing or coaching. And so our job is just to coach them a little bit, right? Just to say, hey, here's a plan. There's a lot of freedom in that plan. There's a lot of room for creativity in that plan, but here's a plan. Use the plan and run with it. So basically, your role as a youth pastor is, to encourage them. Hey, your school's a ministry. Coach them. Hey, here's a plan. Here's how to do it. Help them to work out the bugs. Undoubtedly, there will be some occasionally. Connect them with students from other churches. Maybe you have a couple other youth pastors in your town that you want to do this together with. We encourage you to do that. And then give them opportunities to share stories of what's happening in your youth ministry. On certain Wednesday nights, hey, we're going to have so-and-so come up. She's going to spend 5 minutes telling you what's happening at their school. And that's powerful. It's powerful for the other students in your group to hear, whoa, God is using our group to make a difference in people's lives. That's incredible. Some of you might know Doug Rary, who was the high school pastor at Christ Church of Grove Farm. He's in another role now, but Doug was doing a club like this at Montour High School, right along 79. And so his students were doing an outreach club, and he started getting like 30 to 40 students from that school coming to their Sunday. Their high school met on Sunday nights. There were 30 to 40 students from that school that would come on Sunday nights. And he kind of worked that into their ministry. Like, every so often someone from the Montour Outreach Club would share what's happening at school. So I'm just going to summarize and then ask you guys for some feedback and questions and thoughts. And if you want to throw tomatoes at me, you can go ahead and do that. Won't hurt me though, because I'm on the other side of the screen. But outreach clubs they're just a way for you to send your students out to do ministry. It's a way for them to use their leadership skills to grow in their ability to share their faith in a way that's fun and with lots of room for creativity. It's in a place that's full of people desperate for the good news. There's a legal backing and framework to function within a school. There's actually a law, it's called the Equal Access Law, that allows students to do this. And all of it gives you a reason and an opportunity to be at the school. If you just showed up at a school with no reason to be there, right? They're going to be like, who are you? What do you want? What's going on, right? But if you show up at a school and you say, hey, the outreach club invited me to come and be the guest speaker today, you have a reason to be there. And if you're the guy or the gal who's bringing pizza for an outreach, hey, I'm bringing these pizzas in for an event that the club is doing, and you leave an extra pizza in the office for the office staff, you become a face that they recognize. You become somebody that they get to know. And we always encourage youth pastors to get to know the principal, get to know the guidance counselors, ask them questions. What's happening in the school? What do you know about students that we should know? We have learned I've learned all kind of things from principals I had no idea, but just because I approached them as they are the experts on students in that school, because they spend way more time with students in that community or that school than we do. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. But I wanted to, as we're here, I just want to open up for conversation. Do you like the idea? Do you hate the idea? Do you have questions? Do you have suggestions? And if you are interested in any of this, we have a well, it's a how-to book. It's a little how-to booklet that just kind of gives you the how to make it happen. So, all right, who's got something to share or ask or whatever?
Well, I guess I'll go.
Sure. Yeah.
I just want to say, I thought your idea was great as far as the 9-month mission trip idea. So we kind of took it and ran with it this year, and that was our theme for the year.
Oh, nice.
So we've been focusing on the kind of qualities we need to have as friends, and just what we need to be for our peers, and what they need to see in us to attract them to Jesus. And so we've just been working on those kind of different qualities and learning about that. And then also just getting them more comfortable and sharing, and because that's huge. It's huge for everybody. It's scary, sharing our faith with people sometimes. So, and so I understand that. And so we've been working on that, but we actually have my husband and I have a pretty good relationship with our local school, which is where most of our kids go and attend, just because we've had kids in the school. I have a daughter right now that's a junior. So, and they've all been in activities. So it makes it a lot easier for us to be able to go into the school and do things, because we have a small school and they know us.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. And they've let us do a lot of things where we've gone in, and we actually put 1 year for Valentine's Day, we put little notes on everybody. We went in every locker, we put a note on their locker. It took us a while, so they allowed us to go in and do that. And that was really cool. The kids really enjoyed that. But so we're always looking for opportunities to be able to do things like that. And I am really trying to push my kids to reach out to their peers right now. We actually have a musical that's they're starting practices. They are doing Godspell, which I didn't know much about Godspell, but it's the book of Matthew, retold in a kind of a different way. It's still very biblical. And so my daughter's involved. I have 2 or 3 other kids that are very involved in the musical that are part of our group. So we're kind of making it an undercover thing where they're kind of discussing Jesus with their friends that are involved with the musical, and they're going to be giving like feedback on what they're hearing and what they're sharing with their friends. So that's where we're at right now. I'm hoping it's going to go well. I'm actually involved with the musical also, so it's an opportunity for me to go in and talk to them about Jesus and not get in trouble for it, because that's what the show's about. So it's really cool. So I'm hoping it's going to be a really big success, and we can really spread the word about Jesus and his love for us.
What school is it near you there?
It's Laurel High School.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Oh yeah, you always send me great pictures from their senior bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of kids. The majority of our kids go to Laurel. So
okay.
Yep. So that's what we're doing this year. So I really appreciate you pushing this, because I think it's a great idea.
One year we had a student who he was the lead in the musical, and they were doing Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Oh yeah.
So their Bible club did a party, and the party, they invited everyone who had just been cast in the musical to this party. And
Hmm.
they played some games, they had a bunch of food. It was I think it was in the band room.
Yeah.
And then this kid got up and talked about Joseph and who he was in the Bible, and how he was a picture of Jesus.
Right.
And and you got to share the gospel with the whole cast of the musical.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I think this can be really awesome. We're like praying about it and really hoping we can draw people in. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Cool. All right. Anyone else have a question, comment, suggestion, thoughts?
So you said at the beginning, you know, I don't want to overwhelm you with to add something else. And so that's what sort of ruminating in the beginning. Then you did your awesome. I loved everything about it. But I'm thinking of this as this would be something completely separate from this. I think of self-sustaining like youth ministries, right? So this is something that the kids would do completely separate on their own, in which you wouldn't necessarily have oversight of with outside of, you know, those kids being a part of maybe the ministry that you have at your church. That's what I'm hearing, right?
Yes. Well, yes and no. We do encourage youth pastors to function sort of as a coach for clubs.
Okay.
And so, but what's even better is if you have 2 or 3 youth pastors with students at the same school who can sort of coach together, so it doesn't fall on one person necessarily. But yeah, I mean, you're equipping them to do the work of this ministry.
Right.
We encourage students, hey, ask your youth pastor to be involved in this, and we encourage youth pastors to, you know, you don't want to just send them out and just leave them hanging like, okay, guys, you're on your own, see ya. Right. So you want to check in with them. How's it going? What can I help you with? Do you have any struggles? Are you, what's happening? And so helping them with troubleshooting is a big part. But again, you're not doing it for them. You're not leading it. You're not leading it when they should, they should be leading it. They should be leading it, planning it, doing it. But you are coaching them just as if they were the football team, and you're on the sidelines, they're on the field, but they need a coach, right? So is that helpful? I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like, it really works out because I work with the students as well as we have a faculty member who is a Christian, and he works with me as coaching the students. So we're like hand in hand. We're right there at everything that they do. But yet the students are the ones that are leading it. Unfortunately, we're doing everything Zoom this year because they won't allow us to have anything after school or before school. We have to, they're only allowed to have their classes and that's it. I mean, so we're doing our best to work around all that. It's a little tougher doing the outreaches, but we're getting there. So we have several things planned.
I was glad that you were supposed to go of your Zoom meeting the other day. That was awesome. Looks like you had a good crowd too.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's always different every time we get together. So we're doing it every 2 weeks now. So.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have a?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you guys provide any tools for those groups to do any of those prayer, care, share? So like group comes and is like, we're not sure how to start
Right.
sharing the gospel. Do you have tools that we as youth pastors can equip them, or do we come up with all that kind of stuff as well?
Yeah, so in our how-to guide, there's a whole page with ideas for different things they can do in each of those weeks. And so I'll send each of you one of those, and you can, if you want to use it, great, and if you don't, that's cool. But I'll send one of those to each of you after this is over. But basically, it just gives them, here's several different things you can do. But it is good to for you guys as youth pastors to coach them a little bit on that, because every school is different, right? every school is a little bit, there's obviously similarities, but every school has its own culture and its own things. And so helping them figure out what's going to work in your school is really helpful. And so Jeremy posted a resource here. Yeah, check that out. That looks good. But so our how-to guide, it's got ideas for you, but then, you helping them figure that out a little bit is good. And I always encourage students to start simple. Start simple. Don't make it complicated. Start simple and then go from there. Because and I'll be honest, I have seen students come up with things that I never would have dreamed of. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. We had one school, Burrell High School. The club there, they did this thing where they hid Easter eggs all over the school with candy in them. And I don't know if they did it on a Friday after school or maybe it was some afternoon, after school. And then the next morning, everybody was finding Easter eggs, right? And so the Easter eggs had candy in them. And then there was a QR code on a piece of paper, and they could scan that QR code, and it took them to a website that had a gospel presentation. I was like, that's amazing. That's incredible. So, letting them be creative is always good. But again, sometimes they need a little coaching. I've had students who, hey, we want to go to nursing homes and we want to help with the food bank and things like that. And those are good things to do. Those are absolutely 100% good things to do. But I try to encourage students, especially in clubs like this, no one else is going to be able to do outreach in your school but you, right? I cannot come to your school and do outreach. There's no adult, there's no youth pastor that can come into your school and do anything to share the gospel. You are the only ones who can do anything to share the gospel in your school. And so we try to encourage them to focus on their school, but but if we never want to discourage students from doing ministry. If they feel passionate about going to the local, personal care home or whatever, that's great. That's awesome. We just try to encourage them to stay focused because it's easy to lose focus, as you all know. Even as adults, we lose focus. Any other thoughts, questions, or feedback?
When are most of the clubs meeting? Do they meet during the week, like after school, before school, weekend?
Yeah, it depends on the school. A lot of them meet after, some meet before, some meet during. I was talking with a guy up in New York, and they have clubs that meet. They're like right on the state line. So they have clubs in New York and clubs in Pennsylvania. And their clubs, they encourage them to meet during lunch as much as possible, because it gives the most students the opportunity to be there. There's some schools, like we have some schools that have like 3-4 lunches. So if they did that, it would be a little more commitment on the kids' parts to make that happen. But anyway, so it's it can happen any of those ways. I like the lunch idea just because they're not doing something else during that time. They're already there, and if there's a classroom that's just off the cafeteria where they can meet, that's perfect. But that won't work for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And we do after school. We do after school because we have 3 lunch periods. Some schools have an activity period. That's when clubs meet, and that's nice too. We don't have that, but that's a nice thing to have.
It's only they only have it every so often. It's not on a regular basis.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. That probably wouldn't work. They could still meet then, but they'd probably want to meet other times also.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a school it's north of Butler, and several years ago, they had their club during an activity period, like you said, Bo. And I don't know what it was. It just had to be God. they would have 400 to 500 students come to their Bible club meetings. Like they had it in the auditorium because that many students came. And students led the meetings. You know, the teacher didn't run the meetings, students led the meetings, but I mean, I never saw anything like it. It was unbelievable. I had to go a couple times. I asked him if I could come just to see it because just I just want to see this thing. And it was incredible.
There's more ways that churches can help too, is like, because we have a church that sponsors us. And so they supply all the money that we need for any outreaches. And we'd have other churches say, hey, when you're doing an outreach, let us know. We'll buy all the stuff for you. So that's another way that churches can help these groups get started and work with them, is to do that. That's a big support right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Bo. Yes. It's always, you know, if your church is helping with an outreach, you know, if you're the one that shows up with the pizzas or the drinks or the whatever, you know, if you're the one showing up to deliver those things, I mean, you instantly get some serious cred with with people in the school. Like,
Oh, yeah.
they're bringing food. Yes, right.
Yeah, I usually bring the donuts for see you at the pool. That's why they let me come.
There you go. Right. Yeah.
One thing
Anyone
we do is we invite youth pastors to come in and speak to the kids. And that makes it so you can be more of a familiar face to the students and work with the students more that way too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jamie.
I can finally talk. Sorry, I had to finish my class. Oh my goodness, that was crazy. So first of all, Travis, I just have to say thank you for providing the packet that you gave to my girls. So somebody said they had kids in high school. So that really helps because you know everybody. So I have a senior, a junior, and an 8th grader and a 6th grader left in school. And you provided them with the information that they could go to their principal and show them, because their principal shut them down at first when they first wanted to start. And you showed them, or they showed them your packet that showed them the legal information, and they were able to get the club started. Now the principal's on their side. They do lots of outreach. They're doing one, I think they did one today, but they meet virtually and in person. But the big thing about the Bible Club is they're going to graduate soon. So it's got to be carried on. So they're passing the torch and teaching the next people in line. And so they've taught my boys to do it in middle school. My middle school boy has a Bible club here in about a half an hour. They do the whole thing themselves, which is what I love about this, is that you've empowered them to actually do the work. They plan the lessons, they plan the questions, they plan the outreaches themselves. So that's really amazing to raise them up to do ministry. So I just want to say thank you, because you've empowered my girls and my boys to do this, and just so thankful for it. Sorry I couldn't participate in the discussion before. So
That's fine. One of the things that I love about this is we had a student at Penn Trafford High School who was the leader of the club there, and he went to Cal in the fall. And the very first thing he did at Cal was got connected with the campus ministry at Cal. And I love that because, you know, when students graduate and they go off on their own to college and whatever, you know, that's the time. And then that's a test. That's a test of their faith. Are they going to keep going? Are they going to keep walking with Christ? And being involved in the campus ministry in high school, it encourages them to, okay, I'm going to keep doing that in college. And, you know, for students that are going to, you know, a university or state college or whatever it is, you know, there's a ton of those ministries out there. But if they already have that mindset, then it's easy to make that connection. And for a lot of kids, that saves their faith. It saves them from losing their faith, put it that way. But anyone else? We're coming up on the hour, about 5 minutes left. I don't want to cut anyone off if you have a thought or question, though.
I just wanted to also say about the momentum thing that you've done, the conference by students, that just has really helped my girls be able to share. It's amazing when they're able to teach and share their faith, they learn so much more. They hold on to it so much stronger rather than just being told all the time from us adults. Kids don't want to listen to adults that much. So as long as you've empowered them and have raised them up, they're able to share that with their peers. And I just love that too. So I just want to say thanks, Travis. You're amazing. Thanks for doing this. You've really helped my family at least, and them reach so many people, so many of their peers for Christ. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Well, your kids clearly have great parents. So
Yeah. Try.
if any of you haven't seen it yet, I posted this in our Pittsburgh Youth Workers group. But this will be our third year doing Momentum, which we call it a conference for students by students. And so we get the kids who are leaders of these clubs to be the speakers at the conference. And it's been pretty amazing. I mean, that's a little bit risky because you're not quite sure what they're going to say. But I'll be honest, it's been incredible to see them teach and preach God's word. We always encourage them, hey, whatever you're going to speak about, and we help them to know what their topic is going to be. But whatever your topic is going to be, run that by your youth pastor, just to get get some pointers and tips and whatnot, and make sure it's not heresy. But that's coming up on March 21st. And Jamie's girls they've been involved the past couple, and they've done an incredible job. It's been cool. So.
And and the kids lead worship at the conference. So it's not us adults too. So it's really nice. Yeah.
We try to make it so that everything that happens is led by students. It's pretty cool. Anyone else?
No, this is dope though, Travis. This is awesome. So new in the city, just thinking about the Pittsburgh Public and reaching out to some pastors in the city, because everybody, I'm sure there are people who would love to get on board with something like this. I know I mentioned Danny to you. He's looking to start something similar to this. By Jose Rodriguez. He does fatherlessness. He preaches on fatherlessness, and or he has a whole curriculum that sort of is a little bit different. This is like sort of outreach based. That's sort of taking like a group of kids, the lowest of struggling kids, and sort of helping them to identify and identify the purpose and their build dignity within that group of kids. But this is awesome. And I guess I have more questions, but obviously we're out of time. For anybody who could just talk to like starting initializing this, like starting this. So yeah, I would love to hear some stories, just a little bit more about people who have taken this and ran with it.
Yeah.
With some you.
I'll tell you what, I have time. I can stay on for a little while longer. If anyone else wants to stay on, you're welcome to do so. It's just about 4, so if you got a split, please feel free to do so. And we appreciate. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And Josh, I'm glad to hang on for a while, and I'd be glad to answer some more questions. And if I'll try. Everyone, thank you for your time today. And I'll send you all a copy of our how-to guide. And I'm going to type in the chat here. I'm going to type my phone number. So if you ever want to reach out, you can always, wait a minute. You can always reach me anytime. Always feel free to call or Zoom or Facebook. Always available to help you with whatever I can. So thanks, everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
This has been great.
Thanks, guys.